Today's show is about a collaboration between two companies that I admire. KLIPSCH in Hope, Arkansas, and OJAS based here in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, unlikely pairing, but then again, a likely pairing because they have a mutual passion for horn speaker design. Now KLIPSCH, the company, goes all the way back to 1946, based originally in Hope, Arkansas, and they're still there, and Devon Turnbull. Now I don't know exactly when Devon started OJAS, but it wasn't 1946, let's put it that way. It's a recent company. And anyway, these two companies, they got together, actually these two people, Roy and Devon Turnbull, and they thought, yeah, this is possible. We can do something together. And they did. They created this speaker, the KO-R1. And as soon as I saw it, and certainly as soon as I heard it, I was like, yes, I absolutely want to. I need to review this speaker. And I say need, because to tell you the truth, I miss having horn speakers in this listening room. Now, I've listened to all different types of speakers, box speakers, hundreds, thousands of box speakers, but omnidirectional speakers, planar magnetic speakers, electrostatic speakers, all kinds, open baffle speakers, definitely. But horns, I miss having horns in this room. And as soon as we set up the KO-R1s, it was like, yes, this is a sound that I absolutely love, and turns out I really, really miss. Because horns can do not just big dynamics, that's what people associate them, but subtle stuff, shading, like the touch of a piano key, all of that comes through, in my opinion, better over horn speakers than other types of speakers. There's an immediacy to the sound of horn speakers, to, let's say, recreating the sound of live music in terms of dynamics and immediacy that other speaker types don't do as well as horns. That's where this really all begins. It all begins and it all ends there, to tell you the truth. I gave away, spoiler alert, that's what this all leads to, is that live sound. So what we're talking about here is a blending of these two companies and their approach to making speakers. Starting with the cabinet. Now this cabinet does not look like any KLIPSCH I've ever seen, because this is 13-ply birchwood. Yeah, I've never seen that on a KLIPSCH speaker before. Now that horn on top, that is a cast aluminum horn. That's a Devon Turnbull thing, right? Although the driver attached to that horn, that compression driver, is a KLIPSCH driver. It is a K706 compression driver. And then as for the woofer, yeah, that does look familiar. It's the 12-inch woofer directly lifted from a KLIPSCH Heresy 4. So there's like this cross-pollination between KLIPSCH and OJAS going throughout this speaker. The KO-R1 is made in the KLIPSCH factory in Hope, Arkansas. The crossover network was designed by Roy Delgado. The crossover occurs at 970 hertz. And Roy also designed the port. It's a 6-inch deep rectangular port. And when you're looking directly down at the speaker, you'll see on the right side a control knob for high frequency, and that goes from -3 dB to +3 dB in 1.5 dB increments. So it's a 5-position knob. The KO-H1 is available in 2 finishes. The one I have here is the red oak finish, but it is also available in pewter gray. This is a limited edition speaker. They're not saying exactly what the number it is limited to, but for now it is a limited edition speaker, and it is sold through 3 brick and mortar outlets in the United States. Those 3 are Common Wave Hi-Fi in Los Angeles, California, IQ Home Entertainment in Fairfax, Virginia, the OJAS showroom here in New York City. I will link to all 3 of those outlets in the description below this video, and quickly add that there will be worldwide distribution later, I think in spring of next year, of 2025. The price for either finish is $8,498 a pair, and that price includes the stands, which are 12 inches tall. Really nice stands. And the stands, by the way, would come with two different kinds of feet. Hey, let's take a peek at the specifications. And the one that jumps out first, for me at least, is the sensitivity spec, which is 97.5 dB. That makes it a very high sensitivity speaker, meaning you can use it with very low powered amplifiers, and I did, and also high powered amplifiers. Impedance is rated at 8 ohms, but it does drop down to 4.4 ohms. Oh, I want to bring up something that I know some of you will be jumping on, that why is this a two-way speaker? Shouldn't it be a three-way? Well, sure, maybe. But here's the thing. The flagship KLIPSCH speaker, the Jubilee, $36,000 a pair, a giant speaker, as you can see in these pictures, that is a two-way speaker. So if you have a prejudice against two-ways, maybe it's time to rethink that, because the beauty of a two-way design is a much simpler crossover network. And the simpler the crossover network, the transition through bass, mid, and treble are smoother that way. So thanks, Roy Delgado and Devon Turnbull. Long-term viewers of this channel know that I lived with KLIPSCH Cornwall 4s for years, but that was a while ago. And I can't do mental comparisons between speakers from 3 years ago and this one. I can't do that. But I could say in broad strokes that yes, the KLIPSCH Cornwall 4 is a much bigger speaker than this one, than the KO-R1. The KLIPSCH Cornwall 4 had a 15-inch woofer in a very large cabinet. So yes, it moved more air. It had greater bass impact. It was a three-way design. And I love that speaker, and I miss that speaker. And that's one of the reasons I was eager to try this one. So yeah, the KO-R1 does not sound like a big speaker. It's a relatively small speaker with a 12-inch woofer. I was perfectly satisfied with the bass, but yes, I would advise that if you're really into room-shaking bass and you're interested in this speaker, you'd probably want to add a subwoofer, and then you could have it all. I will say that the bass quality of the KO-R1 is very tight, very fast, very leading edge. And the integration with the horn is excellent. And that means that the mid-range of this speaker for voice and guitar and many acoustic instruments is phenomenal. Absolutely great. So we got that covered. And in terms of the high frequency balance, since you have that 6 dB range of control, turning it up or down 3 dB, yeah, you can tune it to taste. The KO-R1 sounds really nice when played very quietly. When I say that, what I mean is you don't feel this urge to turn it up, No, you can listen at very low levels, let's say 40 dB or so, and not have that desire like, oh, if I could only play it louder. No, this one plays quiet very well. But as you turn up the volume, what you feel is it just scales up. And you don't have that sense of, even when you're playing it loud and louder and louder, that sense of strain, of, a distortion creeping in. No, it stays clean at any level that I played. Let's put it that way, up to mid 90 dB peaks. That's as much as I want to subject my ears to. So yes, up to that range and probably a lot louder, this speaker will not sound hard. Another thing I really liked about the KO-R1, maybe more than my memory serves of the Cornwalls or the Fortes, is the way it does electric guitar. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, Prince, Larry Coryell, just that bite, that edge, that you get from great electric guitar. This speaker does that so well. It has that immediacy, that presence that just fills the room. Yeah, it did that so well, so well. Next up was Miles Davis, Jack Johnson. This is electric period Miles, and this is particularly electric over these speakers. And not just the electric instruments, but also Miles' trumpet. That bite, that edge, that attack of a trumpet is so well played through horn speakers like this one, but even more so. This speaker kind of ups the ante in terms of the virtues of horns. And the way this music just cooks, the way it dances You feel that energy through this speaker. That's what it does so well. It's that immediacy that other speakers sound kind of, they pull back from that. You want that more, that little extra spark, that life. This speaker gives it to you in ways that others don't. The amplifier that I was using for all of the listening tests up to this point was the Linear Tube Audio Ultra Linear. It's 20 watt per channel, output transformerless design, and it was a superb match with these speakers. But I also had fantastic results with my primary reference, the Past Labs XA25 solid state amplifier Class A. That one was like, that was doing it all. But I also mixed it up with the Dynaco Stereo 70. This amplifier is around 60 years old, this exact one. It's EL34 tubes, 35 watts per channel. And the beauty, that amp couldn't do what the other two could do, but it had this sultry soul to it. There was tubiness, but not slushy or overly romantic or warm. It struck a beautiful balance. My reference speakers over the last couple of years have been, and continue to be, the Pure Audio Project Duet 15s. They are open baffle speakers. There's no box behind that front. And they have 15-inch woofers and full-range voxative drivers. They are fantastic speakers. That's why they've been sticking around so long. And I'm playing this recording, this soundtrack recording for the movie Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, which is phenomenal. I love that movie. It is orchestral. It is big. It is dynamic. It has some real solidity in the bottom end. And I'm playing it over the Pure Audio Project. And you know what? It sounds fantastic. It's big, it's spacious, it is a room filling, it is alive sounding. And I'm wondering what's going to happen when I go back to the KO-R1s. What will happen? Well, guess what? It sounded smaller. It is a smaller speaker, and it definitely sounded smaller. But it sounded, that liveness, that subtle gradations of dynamics and stuff came through clearer. Definitely clearer over the KO-R1s. And by comparison, the Pure Audio Project sounded kind of muted and back, well, further back in the sound stage. That's it. The KO-R1 is more forward sounding. No surprise, it's a horn speaker. It's more immediate, and the center image coming out of the KO-R1 is so locked in, so in focus, so present, so right there. It's probably one of the best I've ever heard in that regard. With other horns and stuff, I don't know, there was just something about the interaction of those speakers in this room that just locked in that way. So yes, the Pure Audio Projects gave me more the low end of this incredible recording, more weight, more solidity. And yeah, the KO-R1 sounded like it was missing the bottom end, let's say under 50 hertz was definitely lacking. But that's usually plenty for me. And again, if you need more, you could use the KO-R1 with a sub. But in terms of just closing my eyes and letting the music wash over me, the KO-R1 just had more electricity in the air, more of the sense I'm listening back through time. I've used this analogy before, to the recording session. I was hearing into the mix in that way. The treble detail and clarity is very, very good and can, depending on the recording you're listening to, very delicate. It's that what I associate with low distortion sound, that the treble is extended and clear and pure. Yes, that's the word. It has a purity that is so engaging, because you never feel like it's attacking you. Now, of course, I'm talking about good sounding recording. If you play crappy recordings that have a lot of harshness in them, yeah, this speaker is going to let you hear how harsh and brittle they really can be. So when I'm talking about sound in a certain direction, I'm talking about using recordings that actually sound good. Before I get away from the difference between the Pure Audio Project and the KLIPSCH OJAS speaker, I just want to say that there is a speaker that sort of fits between those two, and that one is the Pure Audio Project Trio 10 Heil AMT. It's an open baffle speaker, but it has two 10-inch drivers, but an open dipole that is Heil AMT tweeter. And that sound of that speaker, in my memory, was really fast and super nimble, and being an open baffle, very spacious. So when we're talking about what would fit between the two, the ones that I just listened to, Pure Audio Project Duet 15 and the OJAS KLIPSCH speaker, yes, the Trio 10 Heil AMT would be that speaker. Oh, this is important. Mrs. Audiophiliac actually commented on the sound of this speaker. I was playing Twin Peaks, the TV series soundtrack by Angelo Badalamenti. I try my best to get that right. Anyway, I'm listening to this music, and Mrs. Audiophiliac, without me asking her to give an opinion, she said, wow, that sounds really good. And I said, well, how? In what way? She said, well, it sounds kind of floaty and just filling the room and that sort of thing. But the fact that she felt like she had to say what it sounded like says something very special about the sound of this speaker. So anyway, just had to throw that in. But anyway, the Badalamenti soundtrack is so beautiful, so well done, such a unique sound that David Lynch used his music in a lot of his movies and TV series. I think it's now time for me to put my cards on the table and summarize with, so Steve, what do you really think of the KLIPSCH OJAS KO-R1 stand mount speaker? I think I remember this. I remember this sound. I remember why I love horn speakers, well-designed horn speakers. And by the way, the little KLIPSCH, or not tiny, but the small KLIPSCH, the RP600M. Wow. Now that's a very, very, very affordable speaker. So while I'm rhapsodizing about how much I love horn speakers, you don't have to spend a fortune to get horn sound. You can get it for very affordable prices with the RP600M Mark II. But back to this speaker, the KO-R1 dazzles. I kept pulling out LP after LP, CD after CD, streaming this, streaming that, and I kept saying to myself and writing and taking notes, I love the sound of horn speakers. Anyway, moving on right now to, you know it, you love it, the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. This is Mike's system. He has a Technics SL1200 Mark VII turntable, and the cartridge is an Audio-Technica VM740. The amplifier is an NAD C316BEE V2. And the speakers, those big speakers, are Polk Monitor 70s. It's looking to do some upgrades next year. Anyway, I like the room decoration and the color of the wall. Nice going, Mike. All right, we are back. My name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way to the end. I do want to promote myself and tell you that on my Patreon, I am making videos just for patrons that will not be shown here on the YouTube channel. You got to join the Patreon to see them. They're not reviews, I will tell you that. Never doing a review that way. But for the other types of videos, yes, some of those will be Patreon-only videos. So consider joining my Patreon if you have yet to do so. Or if you have in the past and you want to come back, please, you're absolutely welcome to rejoin. And with that, I can say my work here is 100% complete. Thank you again for watching. Do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.